a video on making your own bacon, which is pretty straightforward, relatively easy, and I can't see why anyone couldn't just have a go, because it's pretty straightforward and it's certainly a lot cheaper than buying bacon. And if you make it now, which is a couple of weeks, second week into November, it'll be ready for Christmas, and you'll be able to have the best bacon sandwiches you've ever had on Christmas Day. And also, it's quite an easy way to learn to start curing, which has been quite popular over the last few years. But making your own bacon is a good segue into making your own salamis and all that kind of stuff. So, it's a whole pork belly. It's got the bones in, so I'm just going to whip the bones out. I'm going to have those for my tea tomorrow, which will be a nice meal. And then we're going to cure it in equal quantities of salt and sugar. We're going to do that for 2 weeks, and then we're going to air dry it for another 2 weeks, 2 possibly 3 weeks, depending on the thickness of the bacon. This bit at the end is a bit scraggly, and I was thinking about cutting that off, but I think what I'll do is I think I'll cure it all, and then we'll have a look at it once it's cured, and then I might just whip that off and have that slowly cooked, and we'll see how that goes. So if you have a local butcher, they will whip out the bones for the belly for you, if you ask them nicely. But it's quite a straightforward thing to do. So we'll turn over, and all you really have to do is buy yourself a sharp knife. This isn't particularly sharp, and we're just going to cut down the between the bones and the flesh, which is just kind of there, which is relatively straightforward. I say straightforward, it'll probably put the fear of God into some people. I really shouldn't say the fear of God, but anyway. So let's go down the side of the bones, using the bones as a guide, like that. I mean, you're only at home, so it's not as if you're going to waste anything, because you're not. Well, if you're going to throw the bones away, then it's a waste. But I'm not going to throw the bones away. So any meat that I do leave on the bones is going to go into tomorrow night's dinner. So we just go down the side of the bones, using the bones as a guide, teasing away from the flesh of the belly. You can make bacon out of the loin, but it's certainly, because the loin's thicker, it's going to take a longer time to cure, and I kind of think it's a bit of a waste of the loin, whereas belly makes really good bacon because it's got all that fat in it. So it's just a case of using your hands and your fingers to work out where the bones are. Your butcher could do this for you, or you could just buy a piece of belly pork. You don't have to buy a whole side of belly. It's just that I tend to make a lot for Christmas. I'm probably going to make another one as well, but this is slightly better pork that I picked up from a friend. So we're gonna have a go using this. But I'm probably going to do another belly as well, because I give it away as presents for Christmas. And having what to buy people for Christmas is always kind of quite difficult. And I kind of think, if you can make something either crafty or foodie and give people, it's much nicer gift than buying them something, unless there's something they really want. But do you know what? If someone gave me home cured bacon for Christmas and I didn't know how to do it myself, I would be absolutely over the moon with that person. So as we get to this end, we can feel that there's a bit of cartilage there, so that's probably where we're just about up to. So we'll take a risk and we'll cut that off there. This end gets a little bit more tricky. There's a few more bones and we might just need to do a bit of feeling around. We'll cut around that bone and using the knife. There we go. That's kind of quite a small rack of ribs. I'm going to need more. I'm going to eat more than that for my tea, so I'll probably have that with something else. So we'll just quickly put those out of the way somewhere safe, and then we are left with this. Now, You can pull that fat off, and we might do after we've cured it. As always, I would save that fat and I would render it down, but not today. So I'm going to cure it, and then what you can, I'm going to put it in a vacuum bag, because it's, once I've rubbed the salt and sugar on, I'm going to put it in a vacuum bag, and then what will happen is all the some liquid will start leaching out of the pork belly, mixing with the salt and sugar, because they are, I've forgotten the word for them, but they draw moisture out of things. So what will happen is it will produce like a natural brine, whereas brines that you normally make are water and sugar and salt, whereas this is going to make its own brine from the meat juices. And I'm going to put it in vat bags because it takes up less space in the fridge, and you can stack things on top and underneath and all those type of things. Whereas if I didn't have any vat bags, what I would use, it would just use a plastic container or an enamel tray, nothing metal, because you don't want the salt and sugar might react with the metal. You might be okay with stainless steel, but I still wouldn't risk it. You want like an enamel tray or a plastic tray or earthenware, something like that, that's going to be non-reactive to salt or sugar. And then I will cover it, and what you do is you turn it over every couple of days to make sure that the skin side and the meat side are all kind of getting properly cured by the salt and the sugar. But I'm going to use fat bags because it just, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll show you how to do it in a container, and then I'll show you the vat bags as well, because that's the most useful thing to do. So we will, going to whip it into about there. I think most of them, no, we'll move a bit further up. I think that most of that's going to be waste, so I think we'll do it there. Get that in half, and I'll get that bit out of the way. And then, as you can see, I was just going to use the enamel tray for rubbing the salt and sugar in, but it can serve as a purpose. So that's the type of thing that you want to be putting in the fridge, and it's going to be in the fridge for 2 weeks. You don't need to put it in the fridge this time of year. In the UK, it's kind of quite cool. So as long as things are wrapped up well, and you've got somewhere cool like an outdoor shed that doesn't get any sunshine, or a garage that doesn't get any sunshine, that stays kind of quite cold, then you're going to be fine, because all essentially a fridge is just a cold environment, a cold, clean environment. Whereas if you're just going to put some cling film on the top of that, then that is essentially a fridge, because you're going to be in a cool place. So, equal quantities of rock salt or sea salt and granulated sugar. I'll show you the packet. So it's not table salt, it's rock salt, whatever brand it is, and you want rock salt or sea salt because you want all the other nutrients that are in the nutrients. What's the other word? Nutrients. I forgot the word. But you want all the things that are still in the natural salt, whereas table salt has had all the things like the magnesium, all those type of things removed, and the anti-caking agents in. So it's not advisable to use table salt when you're making bacon. So mix it together. I'm not going to use all of that, but it's equal quantity. So there's 150 grams of salt in there, and there's 150 grams of sugar. Probably just going to need 150 grams worth of 75 grams worth of salt and 75 grams worth of sugar. So be generous. Make sure you need to get all those cracks under there. That, I need to rub it in. I need to rub it on the skin side as well. And you need to make sure you get it into all these edges along here as well. Lots of it's going to come off, that's fine. Rub it in generously. It's going to leach out. It's not, by the time we finish, it's not going to be salty and it's not going to be sweet. You will be surprised. It's just going to create a brine. I mean, some people that's going to be horrendous amount of salt, and you're just going to go, oh no, that's going to be the worst thing ever. But it's not. It's going to be absolutely spot on. So that's enough. It's going to be enough salt and sugar for that. And if I was putting it in a container, I would then take this out, put it into a fresh container, cover it in cling film, and then put it in a nice cool place or in the fridge leave it for 2 weeks, turning over every couple of days to make sure that the brine's getting soaked into everywhere. Also smelling it as well. So you're going to think leaving pork for 2 weeks to brine, or just with salt and sugar on, that it's going to go off. It won't, but you still need to smell it as well, because if it starts to smell like it's going off, then something's gone wrong. I don't know what's gone wrong. Potentially you haven't used enough salt and sugar, or the meat wasn't particularly fresh to start off with. You do need to use fresh pork. It can't be frozen. If you use frozen pork, the curing process will go wrong and it won't dry, and it will go off rather than cure and then naturally dry. So that's it for the moment. So to recap: belly, equal quantities of salt and sugar, rub it all over, get it into all the bits there. As you can see already, it's starting to leach out some of the liquid, which is what we want. I've just used that tray to mix it in, so it doesn't make a mess of the kitchen and go everywhere like it normally does. So then I'm gonna transfer. I would transfer that into a clean container, cling film, somewhere cool. Turn it over every couple of days for 2 weeks, and that'll be cured bacon. And then we need to air dry it, which is another kind of straightforward process. But I'm going to use vacuum bags. So I'll pause the video and we'll come back and we'll show you what it looks like in the vacuum bags, and then we'll come back every couple of days, and it will all you need to do with the vacuum bags, you just need to turn them over when they're in the fridge. You don't need to open up the bags and turn the pork over. You just need to turn the full bag over in the fridge, and then that'll cure evenly. So that's it. I'm sure that's it for the moment. I probably waffled too much. Oh look, we're at 12 minutes already. I've certainly waffled, but my videos are more I don't like videos that just say do this, do this, do this, and this is the result. I always want to know why you do things, and why you can't do things a certain way, and why you have to do things a certain way. So I always want the explanation. So I always tend to make videos that I would find interesting. So that's it for the moment. I'll pause the video and we'll come back and show you what it looks like in a vat bag. Right, so the pork belly is now in the vacuum bag. As I explained before, it's just easier to have them in the bags because every couple of days you need to be turning the pork over so that everything gets cured evenly. So if it's in the bag and it's in the fridge, all you need to do is that. Whereas if it's in a tray covered with cling film, you have to take the cling film off, turn it over in the brine, and then put the cling film back on. It's just a little bit messy. This is nice and clean, and also this takes up less space in the fridge. So I'm all for things like that. You don't have to. In a container is fine. It's not going to change the taste or anything like that. This is just a little bit easier. And these vacuum sealers, mine's nothing fancy. They're about 20 quid these days. Mine was a little bit more because it's a good 10 years old now. But you can pick them up in cheap supermarkets, and they are pretty good if you want to store things, if I'm honest. You don't have to use them. It's just one of those, that looks like a lot of fun. I think I'll buy one of those. And they're certainly a lot cheaper than they used to be years ago. They used to be thousands of pounds in commercial kitchens, but now these are relatively cheap and particularly good as well. It's not like the first ones that came out that didn't particularly seal or didn't particularly suck particularly well, obviously. But now they're good, and the cheaper ones are just as good as the more expensive ones. So there we go. Yes, so right, anything else I need to explain? No, fresh pork, not frozen. I've used about 100 grams of salt and 100 grams of sugar, and that's for the whole belly. I don't know what the weight of it was. It was cost me about 30 quid, which is normally not more than I normally pay. But it was from a different supplier, and outdoor reared type of better quality, maybe not better quality pork, but different, probably a different breed than I normally buy. So I just wanted to try it out. So that's the thick part of the belly, and that's the thin part. You might be able to pick up on the camera already that the brine has already started to form quite quickly. You can see, can you see that? brine has already started to form. If I bring it up, there's no light, you can't really see, but a brine's already started to form. So, and the can in the fridge, they can sit on top of each other. That won't be a problem. Just every couple of days, turn that one over and turn the one underneath over. Maybe do it in one go, like that. So that's it. It's that easy. You can see a little bit better that the brine's starting to form there. So that's fine. The only problem with putting it in bags is that if anything goes wrong, you can't smell every day or every couple of days if everything's going right. If things are going wrong, then you've kind of committed for 2 weeks in the bag. So both methods have their plus and negative sides to it. So that's it. I don't think you need to see any more. You don't need to see me turning it over every day. So it'd be like there'll be another video in 2 weeks of what's going to happen. We do need some linen or good quality cotton material because that's how we're going to be air drying it. So I've got some in the cupboard that I can't reach. I picked these up ages ago, and they are just cheesecloths, just linen, cotton, and they are going to be that's what I'm going to use for the drying process. But a 100% cotton pillowcase or 100% cotton tea towel, as long as it's not a fluffy tea towel, it's like a flat cotton, it's going to work just as well to air dry them. I think that's it. I'm sure that's it. That's it for a couple of weeks. I'm obviously I'm going to do other things within these next 2 weeks, but that's it for now.